Chapter 132, Overexcited. The whistle blew and the match officially started. Yi Wanwan took out the popcorn, Coke and fried chicken that she prepared from her bag. She ate in delight while watching the match. Her insatiable appetite was one of the biggest reasons why she decided to be a manager instead of an artist. If her diet had to be restrained, if she was refrained from eating this and that, then what's the point in living? She wondered whether the vegetation in Jean Garden had sprouted or not and wondered what they looked like, along with her chicks, little fish, and little grapes. Yi Wanwan got distracted for a little bit, while the score on the court was already at 11 o'clock. Qing He 11 points, Jin Xiu 0 points. What's happening? Yi Wanwan was shocked. Jiang Yanran shook her head. I'm not sure, Chu Feng doesn't seem to be in good shape today. Yi Wanwan quickly looked towards Chu Feng. She saw that he kept making numerous mistakes and his footwork was as messy as a drunkard's. He had quite a bit of energy just now. What happened? Being in front of the girl he likes, shouldn't that give him a burst of power to take down his love rival? This guy. Could it be that he's overexcited? My head hurts. I pinned my hopes on him to take down Song Zihang today. Ah, it's not the wine that intoxicates but the drinker who gets himself drunk. Ugh, I was wrong. Yan Ran, don't stare at him anymore. When she heard the teasing in Yi Wanwan's voice, Jiang Yan Ran looked away shyly. However, once Jiang Yan Ran looked away, his condition worsened. Yi Wanwan was some distance away but she could hear the rasping voice from the coach of Jin Xiu who was on the verge of breaking down. Damn you mother Chu Feng, you bastard. Did you take the wrong meds today? Playing like some dog shit. Bastard, get over here. I'll talk about life with you. The coach used the entire 2 minutes break during the second half to scold Chu Feng. The boy sunk his head low as he scratched his head. He didn't even dare lift his head to glance at the spectators. Finally, Jin Xiu couldn't recover their losses in the first half and the match ended at 23:6. Yi Wanwan shut her eyes as she could hardly bear to look. Next was the halftime break of 15 minutes. All the girls from Qing He cheered and rushed to the court to give the team water and towels and showered them with concern, while over at Jin Xiu, the atmosphere was gloomy. Damn! What's wrong with Jin Xiu? Why are they playing like that? They were beaten so badly that I couldn't even watch. It can't be helped, Qing He's basketball team has always been quite strong. But we can't lose so badly, right? What's wrong with Senior Chu Feng today? Is he feeling sick? Unwell my ass. More like his soul was emptied. Yi Wanwan totally didn't foresee that he'd be so lousy. If this carried on, her plan today would be ruined. We can only fight poison with poison now. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes. Fight poison with poison? What do you mean? Jiang Yanran didn't understand. Yi Wanwan had no choice but to bring out the bottle of water and a towel from her bag, and stuff them into Jiang Yanran's hands. Send them over to that idiot. Huh? Jiang Yanran was put on the spot. Will this work? Jiang Yanran hadn't imagined that her presence would affect Chu Feng so greatly and she felt somewhat guilty. Shouldn't I give him some space now? Yi Wanwan sighed. If you leave, he'll be even more devastated. Bring it over. When she told Jiang Yanran to stop looking at Chu Feng, that guy immediately looked like a pet abandoned by his owner. Not only did he not improve in the second half, he even ruined someone else's play. Jiang Yanran had no choice but to nod. All right. Chapter 133, He Stole My Wife. On the court at this moment, the captain of Jin Xiu placed his arm around Chu Feng and spoke earnestly to tug at his heart. Chu Feng, what's going on with you today? Are you heartbroken? You're the one who's heartbroken, your whole family's heartbroken. Chu Feng exploded suddenly. The captain was speechless. If you're not heartbroken then why are you so distracted? Why do you look like a husband who just got dumped? Seeing that Song Zihang was surrounded by a group of beauties, the captain was filled with envy. Damn. As the saying goes, comparisons only cause suffering. Why does Song Zihang have such a good life? After Jiang Yanran came Shinmengqi. They're all beauties. Look at him, Chu Feng, you're putting your good looks to waste. Although Chu Feng was handsome, he'd never been in a relationship and he didn't even have a girl he fancied, much less loved. Once, he almost thought that he might be gay. The captain was busy mocking him when he noticed something wrong with Chu Feng's expression, especially when he saw Jiang Yanran walking towards Song Zihang. The way Chu Feng stared at Song Zihang was as if he was about to murder him. The captain felt that something wasn't right with him, so he quickly held him back. Buddy, what are you trying to do now? Why do you look so scary? I noticed there's something weird about the way you looked at Song Zihang. Does he owe you money? Chu Feng, he stole my wife. At the same time over at Qinghe's basketball team, Captain Song, you're so awesome. Senior, you're the best. Keep beating Qin Xiu in the next half and make them look for their teeth all over the place. Zihang, have some water. Shinmengqi passed a water bottle over. With Song Zihang surrounded by fangirls, Shinmengqi brought him water and a towel herself, and even switched from calling him Captain Song to Zihang. Song Zihang had never felt so happy before. He was rarely bold enough to hold Shinmengqi's hand in front of everybody, but he did today. Mengqi, wait till I place the trophy in your hands. If I win today, will you? Song Zihang hadn't finished when someone around him exclaimed towards the nearby spectators, Jiang Yanran. Jiang Yanran's coming as well. Wow, two girls fighting for a guy, this is going to be a good show. Song Zihang's eyes sparkled when he saw the girl's dainty and curvy figure. Actually, Jiang Yanran's not bad as well. Her family background and even appearance don't lose to Shinmengqi at all. It's just that her personality's too boring, there's no meaning and excitement after a while. But now. At this moment, every player from Qinghe looked at Song Zihang with eyes of envy as they started teasing Jiang Yanran. Hey, Missy Jiang. Bringing water to boss again? Heh, you even dolled up so prettily just for boss today. Boss is just too good looking. Missy Jiang, you're too stingy. Why'd you only bring one bottle? What about us? Usually, Jiang Yanran was too nice to the basketball team and invested quite a bit of money in them, causing these people to take her for granted. Naturally, Shinmengqi noticed the way that Song Zihang was looking at Jiang Yanran. She gritted her teeth but walked over in a calm and friendly manner. Yanran, you're here. I wanted to call you along just now but was afraid that you were still mad at me. Hurry and come over, we're all waiting for you. Chapter 134, Where is this place? Who am I? Song Zihang glanced at Shinmengqi, obviously very happy with her. Only this kind of generous and sensible woman is suitable to be with me in the future, but the jealous type like Jiang Yanran can look quite cute at times. Song Zihang also realized that he was too harsh towards her before, so he walked to Jiang Yanran voluntarily, looking friendlier, but he still spoke with an air of superiority. Yanran, I know how you feel towards me, but we can't force love. The way you harassed me in the past made me very uncomfortable, but we've known each other for such a long time, so as long as you don't do such drastic things next time and stop hurting Mengqi, we can still be friends. Jiang Yanran stood expressionless in front of Shinmengqi and Song Zihang, and she spoke in an annoyed tone. A good dog doesn't block the way, could you please make way? Both Shinmengqi and Song Zihang froze. Jiang Yanran didn't care about either of them and simply turned away. She continued walking forward with the bottle of water in her hand. Seeing this, the people around them were stunned and they looked at one another, speechless. Where's Jiang Yanran heading to? Maybe she wasn't looking for Song Zihang. Who else could she be looking for other than Song Zihang? Isn't she headed towards Jin Xiu's basketball team? Under the gaze of countless curious people, Jiang Yanran walked towards Jin Xiu's basketball team. Not only the people from Qinghe but all the dejected basketball players from Jin Xiu were dumbfounded, seeing a pretty girl walking in their direction. Wah! A pretty girl. Whose girl is this? I'm not sure. She looks like a girl from Qinghe. One of the guys with blonde hair pushed through the crowd and walked up to Jiang Yanran gallantly. Who are you looking for, beauty? Isn't that Jiang Yanran? What's she doing here? The basketball captain, who was still counseling Chu Feng, mumbled suspiciously. The moment things quieted down, everyone could hear Jiang Yanran's response, I'm looking for Chu Feng. Chu Feng, who? Chu Feng. The captain turned to Chu Feng in shock, and Chu Feng's expression was totally blank. His ears turned red and his breath was racing like he had just run 3 kilometers. The boy with blonde hair was instantly disappointed when he heard her reply, no way. She's actually looking for Chu Feng, the cancer in our team. Ouch, who kicked me? He was kicked by Chu Feng behind him immediately after he finished speaking. Chu Feng was so nervous that he nearly moved forward with the same arm and leg and even pretended to be calm and strong as he walked towards Jiang Yanran. Yanran. You. Are you looking for me? Jiang Yanran nodded. What's the matter? Chu Feng thought he was finished. It must be due to his bad performance just now that he has to die now before gaining victory. After some time, just as Chu Feng had filled up his brain with the word dead 100 times, Jiang Yanran passed the bottle of water to him. For you. Chu Feng was speechless. It was as if he'd been transported from the dead of winter to spring when the flowers were blooming. The boy took the bottle of water like he was accepting the imperial seal of China. He was overwhelmed with emotions. Thank you. After Jiang Yanran gave him the water, she glanced at the spectator stand subconsciously and saw that Yuanwan was mouthing exaggeratedly to remind her to move on to the next step. Jiang Yanran didn't have a choice. She thought about how she was partly responsible for him playing so badly today, so she followed whatever Yuanwan told her to do. Jiang Yanran lifted the white towel in her hands and gently wiped the sweat on the boy's forehead and then said, do your best. Chu Feng, who am I? Where is this place? Why are there so many little flowers in front of me? Chapter 135. You'll find out very soon. All of a sudden, all the boys from Jin Xiu started howling with excitement. Ow, 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 I-oh. Damn. Chu Feng, have you been hiding her? So you've been acting so weird today, not because you're heartbroken but because you're in love and couldn't get your girlfriend off your mind. No wonder this guy kept looking at the spectators stand just now. Girl, don't be fooled by this guy's looks. Everybody shut up. Chu Feng stared at those people furiously. I'm going to head back now, my friend's still waiting for me, Jiang Yanran said. Chu Feng was reluctant and asked nervously, then. I'll see you later. Jiang Yanran nodded. Hearing this, Chu Feng's heart finally returned to his body after looping around the earth once. She remembered. Tonight's date is still on. Compared to the noise and teasing at Jin Xiu, the atmosphere over at Qinghe was eerily quiet. Almost everybody's gaze was on Song Zihang. After all, he still flattered himself and thought that Jiang Yanran was looking for him just then. In the end, she was actually looking for Chu Feng. Wow! This is so juicy. Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng. Since when did the two of them know each other? Although this is a shock, I think they're pretty compatible. This is my first time seeing Chu Feng so shy, ha ha ha, too cute. They're definitely compatible. Anyway, they both come from families of equal status. I heard that Chu Feng comes from a good family too. I thought that once Jiang Yanran was dumped, she wouldn't be able to get up. Who knew that she would find someone else in a flash? You guys were worried about nothing. With Jiang Yanran's qualities, when has she been unable to get what she wants? As for Song Zihang, I think he's blind. Song Zihang watched as Jiang Yanran brought water for the other boy and even helped him wipe his sweat off affectionately. He was so mad that his face turned black. The discussions swirling around him made his face turn even uglier. When Jiang Yanran walked past them, Song Zihang strode over and stopped her. Jiang Yanran, what's the meaning of this? This damned woman, she actually dared to embarrass me in front of so many people. What? Jiang Yanran frowned. At this moment, Song Zihang's face was so gloomy to the point where it looked threatening. TSK, you said you liked me but all of a sudden, you're together with that gigolo from the next school. Don't tell me you were flirting around with him before you confessed to me. Jiang Yanran let out a cold laugh. So what if I did, so what if I didn't? What does who I like and flirt with got to do with you? PFF, the people around started laughing. After all, what Jiang Yanran said made sense, both of them had nothing to do with each other from the start. Wasn't that what a certain someone said previously when he tried to defend Shin Mengqi's honor? Song Zihang was so furious that he almost lost his mind, and he blurted out without thinking, don't forget that we were engaged, but you actually went behind my back. Engaged? When were we engaged? Song Zihang was about to retort back but after looking at Shin Mengqi, he suddenly shut his mouth. After all, he had just recently made a post stating that he had nothing to do with Jiang Yanran and that the engagement didn't exist. If he admitted there was one, wouldn't he be shooting himself in the foot? Jiang Yanran, think of the consequences of your actions. Song Zihang suppressed the fire in his stomach forcefully. Consequences? You'll find out very soon. Jiang Yanran grinned and left without looking back. Chapter 136, Did you drink chicken's blood? After she returned to her seat, Jiang Yanran almost collapsed. Yi Wanwan had a gratified expression on her face as if her daughter had just grown up. Awesome! You were great. Thanks, it's because you've taught me well, Jiang Yanran smiled bitterly. She was surprised too, she didn't expect that one day she'd be able to speak to Song Zihang with this tone and attitude. Shortly after, the 15-minute break ended and the next half of the match started. The whistle blew and the atmosphere in the court was suddenly tense. Everyone noticed that the atmosphere in this half of the match was different, the smell of smoke was stronger and there were sparks of anger everywhere. Song Zihang glanced at Chu Feng scornfully. His teammate next to him gave a disdainful expression as well, he just has more stinking money at home, right? What a useless bum. That's right. He plays like shit. And still dares to snatch a girl from our boss. Chu Feng didn't care about those people mocking him. He looked at his teammates and said, later on, all of you should pass the ball to me. The guy with blonde hair wailed, then won't we be getting a big fat 0? If we lose, I'll treat the team for an entire month. Damn, an entire month. Grab hold of the tyrant's big golden thigh, 1. You said it yourself. Everyone, remember to pass him the ball later. No problem. Very soon, everybody started running at top speed on the court. The captain of Jin Xiu snatched the ball from the forward player from Qing He and threw it over to Chu Feng swiftly. He was really afraid that Chu Feng would miss it again but thankfully, he caught it this time. But then, Qing He's players advanced on Chu Feng and he was forced to the edge of the three-point line. Song Zihang sniggered and went to snatch the ball from Chu Feng while his teammates guarded him. Once he had the ball, he'd definitely get it in. However, just as he was about to grab the ball, Chu Feng took a step back and tossed the ball as hard as he could. Everybody's eyes followed the ball and after a few seconds, wow, it went in. A three-point shot. The entire court roared in cheers. It had only been 3 minutes since the match started and they actually scored, not to mention it was a three-pointer. Everybody was caught off guard, they didn't even manage to see what Chu Feng did as everything happened in a flash. Beautiful. Senior Chu Feng's awesome. He was lucky, what's there to be happy about, the players of Qing He spat. There was a 17-point gap from the previous half so they weren't worried at all. But from that point onwards, they couldn't be so relaxed anymore. Everybody on the Jin Xiu basketball team passed the ball over to Chu Feng and like a totally different person, Chu Feng didn't miss a single shot. As long as he got the ball, it went in every time. It was as if his accuracy was due to the basketball hoop sucking up every ball he shot. Towards the end, Qing He was beaten to the point where they didn't have the energy to retaliate. The spectators were stunned. They realized only then that Chu Feng actually had a hidden talent. The captain of the Jin Shio basketball team put his arm around Chu Feng's neck excitedly. "God damn, bastard, did you drink chicken's blood instead of water just now?" Chu Feng looked towards the spectator stand. "What do you know?" It was the water from Yen Ran. Immortal water. In the blink of an eye, the current score was 0-17. Qing He didn't get a single point. With such a big gap, their scores had already tied and only half the time had passed in the second half of the game. Chapter 137, Big Brother's Gift. However, this was just the beginning. In the next half, Jin Shio continued to splendidly thrash the other team, almost entirely due to Chu Feng alone. The screams coming from girls cheering Chu Feng almost broke through the roof. There was only a minute left until the end of the match. The current score was a scary 0-24. Qing He still hadn't scored a single point while Jin Shio had already overtaken Qing He by 7 points. It was impossible to score 7 points within a minute. Qing He was definitely going to lose. On the court, everybody was celebrating Jin Shio's victory. Certainly, at the final moment, the ball landed in Chu Feng's hands again. Qing He's players were totally beaten down and had completely given up struggling. "Stop him!" Song Zihang yelled in anger. Even if he was going to lose, he couldn't lose with 0 points. Song Zihang, couldn't lose face to this guy. Everybody didn't have a choice but to pick themselves up and try to stop Chu Feng. Under the gaze of every spectator and player from Qing He, Chu Feng spun the ball in his hands leisurely and did a sudden move that nobody expected. He changed his direction unexpectedly, ran towards the basketball hoop of his own team and scored. The whistle blew and it was the end of the match. Qing He's team got 2 points. Under the astonished gaze of everyone, Chu Feng walked to Song Zihang casually and said, "These 2 points are Big Brother's gift to you, you're welcome." His own shot that Chu Feng threw into his own hoop on purpose gave Song Zihang 2 points. Being ridiculed in front of so many people, Song Zihang's face contorted with anger and he almost stormed over but was stopped by his teammates. After a moment of silence, there were cheers from the entire court. "Whoa! Senior Chu Feng's amazing." At the end, the scores for the second half of the match were 2-24. Qing He and Jin Shio's final scores were 25-30. Even with such a big difference in points during the first half of the game, Jin Shio caught up in the second half and won the entire match. At the spectator stand, Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief. "That's more like it. At least your big sister didn't help you in vain." It was obvious that Chu Feng took revenge for Jiang Yen Ran on that final shot. Yi Wanwan turned to Jiang Yen Ran. "What do you think? Are you happy?" Jiang Yen Ran nodded. It was undeniable, the win did let off some of her steam. On the court, Chu Feng was being thrown in the air by his excited teammates. There was a huge grin on his face. After he was let down, Chu Feng seemed to discuss something with his teammates. After that, he walked towards Jiang Yen Ran with the trophy. Standing right in front of Jiang Yen Ran, Chu Feng was at a loss once again. "That 4. This is for you." Jiang Yen Ran was taken aback. "For me? But this trophy belongs to the entire team and anyway, I don't really have a use for this." "Ah. You don't like it? I thought all of you girls would like this, but yeah, there isn't much use to this thing, sorry." Chu Feng's hung his head low instantly. Yi Wanwan smiled and shot a look at Jiang Yen Ran. "How is it useless?" "It's for memory's sake. There are some people who wanted it but couldn't get it." Song Zihang glared ferociously at Jiang Yen Ran and Chu Feng, kicked the chair next to him and left in a fit. After Jiang Yen Ran heard that, she looked at how disappointed Chu Feng was and recalled how hard he fought on the court to help her get back at Song Zihang. Finally, her heart softened. "Well, thank you." Chu Feng instantly lit up like a flower blossoming in spring and he looked at Yi Wanwan like she was Jesus. Yi Wanwan was speechless with the way he stared at her like a little deer with a pair of tearful, grateful eyes. She stood up. "The match is over. I won't intrude on the both of you anymore, I'm heading back to the dorm." Chapter 138, Going back to feed the great devil. Jiang Yanran grabbed Yi Wanwan's elbow once she heard that. Aren't you coming with me? Yi Wanwan, why does it seem like Jiang Yanran's sticking to me more and more? Yi Wanwan replied helplessly, sorry dear, I have a date tonight. From today's observation, she thought that Chu Feng wasn't too shabby. Also, she was sure that he really liked Jiang Yanran, so she didn't mind continuing to match them up together. Date? Are you meeting your boyfriend? Yi Wanwan nodded, All right then. Jiang Yanran couldn't keep her any longer since she had a date. Chu Feng looked at Yi Wanwan with gratitude and said, hello, I'm so sorry that I haven't greeted you properly. You're a friend of Yanran's? Hello, I'm Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan did a simple self-introduction. Jiang Yanran continued the introduction, Wanwan is my best friend. Chu Feng was slightly surprised as he looked at Yi Wanwan, so you're Yi Wanwan, I've heard a lot about you. Yi Wanwan chuckled softly, oh, I'm sure you've heard all about my bad reputation. Chu Feng said seriously, it's only after meeting you that I found out you're completely different from the rumors, we can't trust them. You've only met me once and spoke a few words to me though. How do you know that I'm completely different from the rumors? Yi Wanwan murmured. Obviously because you're Jiang Yanran's friend. Chu Feng looked as if that went without saying. Yi Wanwan raised her brows, I thought you were a fool at first. I couldn't tell that you're actually quite the smooth talker. When Chu Feng heard that, his face turned red instantly and Jiang Yanran looked somewhat uncomfortable. Watching these two teenagers innocently in love, Yi Wanwan inexplicably felt really old. After she bid farewell to Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng, Yi Wanwan returned to the dorm. After she had removed her makeup and showered, she opened her textbook. At this time, not only did she cram the high school syllabus, she also read through the university textbook. She wasted 2 years of her time since she was held back in high school, so she had to get those 2 years back. Once she successfully entered Imperial City's media school, she was determined to skip a couple grades and finish her studies within the shortest possible time frame. At the same time, she closely monitored the trends in the entertainment industry so she'd be able to grab hold of any opportunities that came by. If she remembered correctly, one of the big-name actors in the entertainment industry would encounter their first extremely damaging PR crisis, resulting in them leaving the industry. The company that he was in also suffered great losses and she happened to know how to bring him back from the point of no return. If she used that opportunity wisely, that'd be a good starting point for her. Her greatest setback in her previous life, other than Si Han holding her back, boiled down to the fact that she was too weak, both physically and psychologically. After studying for some time, Yi Wanwan checked the time on her phone, closed her textbook and prepared to head to Jean Garden. Although she only said it as an excuse to Jiang Yanran so she wouldn't have to be a third wheel, it also reminded her that she should go back and check on Si Han. She had to strike when the iron's hot and use this chance while she and Si Han were still on good terms. Otherwise, the effectiveness would be very low if she kept responding only when forced. After all, she'd be graduating soon. By then, she'd be busier and many things would exceed the boundaries that Si Han laid out for her. If she didn't deal with Si Han, it'd be difficult for her to proceed. After she left the school entrance, she bought 5 big meat buns from the exceptionally popular store along the way and prepared to feed them to the great devil. Chapter 139, A surprise turned into a scare. An hour later, the cab stopped in the nearby Jean Garden. To Yi Wanwan's devastating discovery, she had finished 4 of the buns that she brought for Si Han. There was only one left when she arrived at Jean Garden and she tried very hard to resist the temptation to devour it. I have to walk faster and save this last one. In order to create a surprise, Yi Wanwan didn't tell anybody that she was coming back. Instead, she sneaked in from the back door of the little garden. It was only when she was about to arrive that a sudden realization hit her. What if Si Han's not home today? Yi Wanwan contemplated this as she strolled across the yard and continued walking. There was only a little light turned on in the living room. The light was quite dim, but since there was a light on, there should be someone home. Thus, Yi Wanwan quickened her pace and walked in the direction of the living room. Then, just as she reached the big glass door and prepared to push the door open to enter, her pupils contracted and she paused. Blood. In the air. There's the smell of blood in the air. It's getting thicker and thicker. So thick that it's making me nauseous. It was coming from the living room. What's going on? There was a thick curtain over the glass door, so she had no way of looking into the living room. Just as Yi Wanwan's nerves were extremely tense, a heart-wrenching shout came from the living room suddenly. Kill me. Si Yi Han. Just kill me. In the late of night, that shrill voice made her hair stand on end. Yi Wanwan was motionless and didn't dare to move an inch. She carefully peeped into the living room through the crack of the glass door. From her angle, she could only see a winding trail of blood all over the floor, seeping into the pure white carpet. Following the trail of blood, she saw Si Yi Han sitting on the sofa. He had on a modestly expensive, tailored, dark-colored suit. The watch on his wrist exuded a cold luminosity, and next to his legs laid a white tiger, its hair as white as snow. The white tiger had its eyes closed lazily, like it was asleep, but was unable to conceal the deadly aura of a beast emitting from its body, as if he might tear his prey apart any time. On Si Yi Han's right was Su Yi, and on his left was a teenager in a black shirt. A few steps away from Si Yi Han, a man was rolling around in convulsions on the floor with his entire body soaked in blood. There wasn't a good piece of meat left on the guy, and the area around his knees was bleeding non-stop. Two solid things at the side had some meat attached to them, which seemed like the two knee bones extracted from the man. Under the screams of the man that caused one's scalp to tingle, the man on the sofa had an inhumane expression on his face. His thin lips moved slightly, letting out an emotionless voice, "Continue." Following Si Yi Han's order, the teenager in the black shirt moved forward, raised his knife and cut down without hesitation. Yi Wanwan was so scared that she shut her eyes. She didn't witness anything, but just by the shrill howl of the man, she could imagine the torture he was under. Si Yi Han. You're inhumane. You beast. Monster. The blood of the Si family flows in me, I'm your blood brother. How could you treat me like this? You actually dared to do this to me. Yi Wanwan's heart started pounding hard. What? This man is Si Yi Han's blood brother. Which one? Judging by his age, he couldn't be Si Xia's father. Chapter 140, Are you hungry? Si Yi Han. You'll get your retribution. Don't think that I don't know. Second, third, fourth. Even sixth and seventh brothers, all died in your hands. I'm telling Grandma. I'm telling all the elders in the Si family, they won't let you off, they'll never let you off. The man was already incapable of walking. He kept shouting insanely while crawling forward bit by bit. Si Yi Han didn't stop him, he simply watched in silence as the man struggled in vain with his last breath. The man had already crawled to the door and reached out to open it. At that moment, a white shadow pounced over at lightning speed. The malicious tiger bit down on the man's neck instantly. His neck was as crooked as a kite with a broken string, and his blood spewed all over the living room like a flower blossoming, accompanied by the crackling sounds of the tiger gnawing on the bones. This scene was far too horrifying, even for the Yi Wanwan who had lived 2 lives. Yi Wanwan finally couldn't hold it in anymore as she let out a scream from the door of the garden. At the same time, the glass door she was hiding behind was pushed open while she was still in shock. In the next second, she was met with a pair of eyes that could freeze her blood, and she saw the living room akin to hell clearly. Su Yi, who was standing next to Si Yi Han, was dumbfounded when he saw her. His face seized with terror. Yi. Ms. Yi. Why are you here? I'm finished. Why would Yi Wanwan suddenly appear here? Isn't she supposed to be in school? The teenager in black, who stood on the other side of Si Yi Han, looked condescendingly at Yi Wanwan, who was totally pale. He furrowed his brows with a look of disgust and disdain. Yi Wanwan's stomach turned. Her relationship with Si Han had been good recently, which actually made her view this devil as a human for once. Oh, Si Han. How could he ever be a normal human being? If he was, she wouldn't have been so desperate to leave him in her previous life. Gu Yuzhe saying that Si Han was violent, ruthless, and bloodthirsty was an understatement. To this day, she could remember the first time she witnessed him murdering someone. It wasn't any less bloody than this. That time, she was so scared that she called him a devil and cried, asking him to let her go. She acted like a lunatic. She even used all kinds of vicious words to curse him. After causing a ruckus for half a month and falling very ill, she wasn't able to change anything and was forced to witness another bloody scene until she only had a faint breath of life left, then he let her off. With so many memories flooding back, Yu Wanwan's head started to hurt. However, all these memories flashed past for only a second or two. Yu Wanwan quickly calmed herself down, patted away the dust on her body, stood up and picked up her school bag. With the plastic bag in her hand, step by step, she walked towards Si Han without looking anywhere else. Facing the fearful Su Yi, the teenager with a cold expression, the blood-covered floor under her feet and the sound of the white tiger crushing the bones of the human. Finally, she reached Si Han. She passed the bag of meat buns to him. Hey, are you hungry? I bought some really good buns on the way back here. Chapter 141, Are You Scared? On the sofa, the man's eyes became increasingly gloomy and he had an unwavering severity on his chiseled face. He looked like a demon walking out from the depths of hell, especially on this dark, blood-filled night. With the white tiger's deep roar and Si Han's presence, the room was completely icy without any warmth at all. At this moment, Su Yi was soaked in sweat. He never expected that Yu Wanwan would come over, and the worst thing was that she actually witnessed what happened. He made a grave mistake in not noticing the presence of Yu Wanwan and allowing her to enter just like that. I'm so dead. Su Yi's entire body trembled, his heart was burnt to ashes. However, at this moment, he saw Yu Wanwan walking directly to the master and overheard her asking, Are you hungry? Su Yi looked at Yu Wanwan with enlarged eyes, thinking that he was hallucinating. Wah! What did I just hear? Presented with this situation, Yu Wanwan's only reaction was to ask whether the master was hungry, whether he wanted a bun. And she even said it in a tone like it was a regular, jolly day. Shouldn't Yu Wanwan have gone berserk and run away, screaming and yelling? The strong scent of blood mixed together with the smell of meat from the buns was revolting. Su Yi looked at Yu Wanwan and then turned to look at the master on the sofa. It was as if he was dreaming. The aloof teenager standing on the other side of Si Han narrowed his eyes and looked at Yu Wanwan with a hint of warning in his eyes. Yu Wanwan didn't have the energy to care about his reaction, she focused on Si Han alone. She could see him staring at her with his dark pupils, his scrutinizing gaze seemed to peer through her soul, causing a chill to creep up her spine. After some time in the suffocating silence, Si Han glanced at the lonely bun in her hand and finally asked, Are you scared? Yu Wanwan was shocked and she quickly replied in a firm tone without hesitation, No. Even though that was what she said, her heart was actually about to fall apart. She really didn't know where Si Han found the courage to ask her this question. Am I scared? If I wasn't scared, would I even be considered a normal human being? However, she had endured such a painful end in her previous life because of her fear. This time, even if she was extremely afraid, she couldn't show it to Si Han. Otherwise, if this scene was replayed, she might not be able to maintain her composure. Si Han's temperament was far too volatile and enigmatic. In her previous life, she never knew which action or comment she accidentally made that infuriated him. In this life, she still couldn't understand this man. But she could use her experience from her previous life to prevent herself from doing anything that would enrage him. While Yu Wanwan nervously waited, Si Han looked at her for a few seconds with eyes as dark as black holes. She wasn't sure whether he believed her words. After a few seconds, the man pinched her chin with his chilly fingers and whispered in a low, hoarse voice, Good girl. Judging by this, he's probably satisfied with my reply and performance. Even if he doesn't believe me, he doesn't seem to mind. I took the right gamble. Yi Wanwan's tense nerves instantly relaxed. It was as if she had just gone through a near-death situation. Chapter 142, Wasn't easy to put up a strong front. Roar, just as Yi Wanwan relaxed, an earth-shattering growl of a tiger suddenly resounded from somewhere close behind her. The vibration was so strong that even the floor shook. Ah! Yi Wanwan, who had just claimed that she wasn't afraid, was so scared out of her wits that she immediately pounced onto Si Yihan. Si Yihan, who was being pounded on the chest by the girl with the buns, Su Yi. After Yi Wanwan regained her senses, she glanced at Si Yihan, embarrassed. She then followed by glaring at the white tiger who had its snow-white fur stained with fresh blood and was charging towards her ferociously and roaring continuously at her. She was fuming mad. Damn it! Why is it roaring at me all of a sudden? I managed to keep it together for so long but all my efforts just went to waste. It wasn't easy to put up a strong front. When the white tiger saw Yi Wanwan jumping onto Si Yihan, it stopped moving but still paced around the sofa as it stared at Yi Wanwan in a hostile manner. Its gaze was exactly the way you would look at an intruder. This white tiger was Si Yihan's pet that he kept in Jean Garden. The Jean Garden was surrounded by a big dense forest and white tigers often roamed around the forest by themselves. The white tiger's name was Si Lute, which translated to slaughter in English. You'd know it was a fearsome beast and not some tame house cat just going by its name. In her previous life, Yi Wanwan hated and feared this white tiger almost as much as how she felt towards Si Yihan. However, after she was reborn, although she just saw it breaking the man's neck and roaring like a beast, she didn't have a deep hatred and revulsion towards it. Instead, she felt a sense of nostalgia and guilt. Previously, it was this white tiger that saved her life countless times. In order to block the path of people chasing after her, it got trapped. She witnessed the white tiger being murdered by those people till its final breath, all while trying to protect her. Yi Wanwan suddenly became teary-eyed. In the eyes of Si Yihan, he probably thought she was in tears from the fright. Certainly, a sneer came from her side. It was the black-shirt teenager who had carried out the execution, Ming Luing. As the saying goes, enemies are bound to meet. This teenager looked quite young but he was secretly the most formidable expert by Si Yihan's side. His methods were ruthless, many deplorable incidents were settled by him. Just like before, Luing hated this pest by Si Yihan's side to the point where he didn't hesitate to offer to kill her before. Yi Wanwan's relationship with him was as incompatible as fire with water. Si Yihan looked at the girl who had her arms and legs wrapped around him. His gaze paused for a moment and then, he stretched his broad palms out and patted her head. He then narrowed his eyes and looked at the white tiger, Si Lute. The white tiger heard the master's warning. The eyes of the feral beast were filled with a sinister scarlet glint and it roared softly. The way it looked at Yi Wanwan was as if he was ready to tear her apart the next second. Both man and tiger confronted each other like that for quite a long time. After many minutes had passed, the white tiger finally left grudgingly under the master's stare. Even this white tiger was unable to dominate Si Yihan, so it was hard to blame Yi Wanwan for being so fearful of him in her previous life. But she only found out a long while later that sometimes, a person's heart was much scarier than a beast's. After the white tiger left, Si Yihan looked at Su Yi. Go receive your own punishment. Su Yi, who was in a daze, immediately replied, yes. He already knew that this was the best outcome. Yi Wanwan had saved everyone with her, "Are you hungry?" question and also saved herself in the process. This was probably just her abnormal reaction after getting such a huge scare. Otherwise, how could a person have such a drastic change in nature? Chapter 143, A late-night call at an exquisite club in Imperial City. Late at night, a slightly plump middle-aged man's expression changed after he picked up a call. He dashed out in a hurry. The man's hands trembled as he made a call. Xia, we're in trouble. A lazy teenager's voice came through the receiver. What is it? I've just heard that your fifth uncle landed in Ce Han's hands. The teenager sighed. Tisk, useless. The middle-aged man wiped his sweat while speaking nervously. Shasha, you have to quickly think of a way to get him out. The teenager sounded annoyed. I don't want to waste my time on a useless bum. Anyway, you think we can help by going over now? We won't even be able to find a single bone, much less his corpse. Then what should we do now? Are we going to just leave him to die? Obviously. We can't let him off so easily. At Jean Garden, after Su-yi received his orders and was about to clean up the scene with Lu Ying, a phone started ringing suddenly. Su-yi looked at the caller ID and panicked suddenly. Master, old madam's calling. Ce Han's gaze darkened. Answer it. Su-yi nodded and then turned on the loudspeaker. Hello, old madam. It's so late, is everything all right? The displeased voice of the old madam came through the receiver. Su-yi, get little ninth to the phone. Now. Su-yi turned to Ce Han nervously. Ce Han raised his outstretched hand. Su-yi went over swiftly, passed the phone over to Ce Han and made eye contact with Lu Ying. Both of them looked uneasy. Grandma. Little ninth. Why haven't you been picking up? Tell me honestly, where are you and what are you doing right now? The old lady questioned him. Obviously, she'd received some news. Su-yi and Lu Ying broke out in cold sweats when they heard the old madam's questions. The old madam was against the brothers fighting with one another. If she found out what happened tonight, the consequences would be dire. Jean Garden. Ce Han answered. Let me ask you, did your fifth brother? The old lady hasn't finished speaking when Yuan leaned her head over impatiently and asked Ce Han, is that grandma on the phone? When the raging old madam heard Yuan's voice, she was stunned. A brief moment later, she asked in a surprised tone, Wan. Grandma. It's me. Yuan heard grandma calling her name and out of respect, she rushed over to the phone to greet her. She mouthed to Ce Han, hurry, let me speak to grandma. Ce Han looked at her, deep in thought, then passed the phone to her. Lu Ying's face changed when he saw that Ce Han had simply passed such an important call over to Yuan, but it was too late for him to stop Ce Han. What if this woman says something wrong? I can't imagine the consequences. Grandma, it's me, it's Wan. Yuan immediately said it in the sweetest voice, after she got the phone. Hearing Yuan's voice, the old madam's tone became much warmer but there was still a hint of suspicion. Wan, you're at Little 9ths? Don't you live on campus? Yuan replied, slightly embarrassed, I missed him a bit so I came back. The old madam sounded pleased and asked, what were you and Little Ninth doing? Each time the old madam asked a question, Su-yi and Lu Ying's heart rates rose by a fraction, afraid that Yuan would say something wrong. There were murderous intentions brewing in Lu Ying's eyes, and he was ready to kill this woman if she dared to say anything wrong. Su-yi wasn't feeling much better either. Without exaggeration, all of their lives were in the hands of Yuan. Yuan wasn't the master after all, she didn't have that kind of quality. Even if she didn't mention the scene in front of them, the old madam with her sharpness would surely find out what happened if she picked up even a slight difference in Wan's voice. Chapter 144, So Stupid, Is She Retarded? Su-yi was worried and took a glimpse at Ce Han. In the end, he saw that his master looked nonchalant, as if this was just an ordinary call from his family. As the saying goes, the emperor's calm while the eunuch's completely anxious. Under the watchful gaze of Su-yi and Lu Ying, Yuan replied, eating buns. I brought back some buns from the store selling really good ones near my school entrance, they're really delicious. The old madam over the phone was silent for a while like she was assessing her response. After a brief moment, she finally heaved a sigh of relief and said lovingly, Wan, you like eating buns? Come over to Grandma's place next time and I'll make them for you. I guarantee that they're tastier than the ones you bought. Yuan said eagerly, thanks, Grandma. Then can I come over next week? The old madam was very glad. Sure, of course you can. You can come over anytime, Grandma can't wait for you to come over. When the old lady finished speaking, she called out through the phone, Little Ninth. Yi Wanwan quickly returned the phone to Si Yihan. But Si Yihan didn't hold the phone and simply moved closer to the receiver. I'm here. Little Ninth, you must be nice to Wanwan, don't be mean to someone else's daughter. You can show a black face to other people every day, but you can't be like that to your girlfriend. Also, Wanwan's still young and growing, and senior years very taxing, you have to help replenish her nutrition. I know. Don't just tell me you know, you have to change all your bad habits and bad temper too. Yi Wanwan nodded repeatedly as she listened. Grandma, you're truly like my real grandmother. The old lady nagged at Si Yihan for a long time before hanging up finally. When the living room had regained its silence, Su Yi and Luing both heaved a sigh of relief. A crisis was averted simply by Yi Wanwan's trial and error. If it wasn't for Yi Wanwan, even if the master had denied what had happened, the old lady would still be suspicious. There wasn't the slightest difference in Yi Wanwan's tone from beginning to end, even under pressure from this kind of situation. She must either have incredible abilities or she's stupid. So stupid that she might truly be retarded. No need to guess, it must be the latter. After that, Luing and Sui cleaned up the bloody scene swiftly. Very soon, everything returned to normal, as if the bloody scene was just an illusion. Actually, Yi Wanwan felt relieved as well. I passed the test tonight, right? I even covered for Si Yihan and got credit for it. After Su Yi and Luing left, there was only Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan left in the room. Why'd you come? Si Yihan looked at her and asked. Yi Wanwan replied, my roommate went on a date and made me want to see you. Oh right, I have a new roommate now, her name is Jiang Yen Ran. Yi Wanwan took the opportunity to tell Si Yihan that she was no longer living alone. Jiang Yen Ran and I used to share a dorm room together, but we couldn't get along, so our relationship wasn't too good. Some things happened in these few days and we've patched things up. Si Yihan probably didn't care whether these little girls were on good or bad terms and didn't respond. Thus, Yi Wanwan took the chance to talk about the cruel things that Shin Mengqi did. Although Mengqi's my best friend, I think she went overboard this time. How could she snatch the guy that her good friend likes? You better not be seduced by her. Chapter 145, Isn't that for me? Si Yihan looked at her intensely, like he was surprised that she was able to detect this kind of situation with her level of intelligence. Yi Wanwan was so nervous that she kept yakking on and finally changed the subject. Si Yihan never brought up what had just happened and didn't seem suspicious of her unusual attitude. I don't want to know anything about what just happened. The more I know, the more danger I'll be in. Yi Wanwan spoke till her mouth was dry, and only then did she stop. How is it so late already? I'm heading back to my room to go to bed, gotta be up early tomorrow for school. He fixed his gaze on her in silence for a few seconds. After some time, he finally said, go on. After she got his approval, it was as if she'd received amnesty. Yi Wanwan leaned over to kiss him and said, good night, before heading up. Alas, she had taken only a few steps before she heard his deep voice behind her, wait. Yi Wanwan's back suddenly stiffened and she clenched her fist subconsciously as she turned around slowly. What? What is it? Si Yihan didn't speak and reached his hand out to her. Yi Wanwan stared at his bony hand, unsure what he meant. What? Isn't that for me? His gaze paused for a second at her hand. Yi Wanwan followed his line of sight and looked down. Then, she saw the bun inside the plastic bag and was stunned for a while before regaining her senses and quickly replied, oh. Yes, it's for you, it's for you. She immediately hopped over and gave him the bun. Then, she stared at it as she swallowed her saliva. I thought that he'd forgotten about it and I could have it all to myself. Although these buns were for Si Yihan, she developed feelings for it after traveling with it for such a long time. She remembered that during puberty, her appetite became bigger and bigger and she became extremely protective of her food. Once, her brother ate her bag of chips by accident and she chased him down and beat him up. Si-han looked up at her unwilling face. What's wrong? Yi Wan stared at the bun. It's a little cold, do heat it up before eating it. Michum. Seeing that she hadn't left, he asked, is there anything else? Cough, no. I'm leaving. Yi Wan quickly rushed upstairs like she was afraid that she'd go back on her words. Cry goodbye my bun, my love. Si-han watched as she wiggled into her room. His gaze then landed on the bun in his hands and kept his gaze there for a long time. After she returned to her bedroom, Yi Wan sent a text to Jiang Yanren informing her that she wouldn't be returning to the dorm that night so she didn't have to worry about disturbing her if she came back late. I really can't imagine what the first date would be like for these two innocently in love children. After she sent the text, Yi Wan showered again and scrubbed the stench of blood away. In the silence of the night, Yi Wan laid in bed and rolled around for a long time, unable to fall asleep. Eventually, Yi Wan got up and took out a bag of beef jerky and dried pork slices from her school bag. Then, she went downstairs quietly. The living room was still. She tiptoed and slowly scanned every corner of the room to look for it. In the end, she couldn't find it at all. Maybe it went back to the forest. Just as Yi Wan was prepared to return to her bedroom in disappointment, suddenly, she noticed a ball of something on the white carpet in front of the sofa. It's Si Lu-tae. Damn. This guy, he could have laid anywhere but chose to lie on the white carpet. His snow-white fur completely blends in. No wonder I had such trouble looking for him. Chapter 146. Great White is so cute. After she found her target, Yi Wan's eyes lit up and immediately ran over with the dried meat. The moment she strode down the stairs, the white tiger, which was initially laying on the carpet, twitched its ears instantly and opened its eyes, an aura of death emanating from its blue pupils. Being stared at with a pair of eyes like this was disturbing. Thankfully, she'd already experienced this in her previous life. She understood this white tiger very well and knew that although it was extremely ferocious by nature, it acted like a human in some ways. Si-han had interacted with her that evening, which implied that she was one of their own people, so no matter how fierce it was, it would never harm her. Under the fearsome gaze of the tiger, Yi Wan shuffled towards it. She could feel the aggression and caution in the beast's eyes increasing as she moved closer. Yi Wan didn't get too close, she stopped when she was about 4 to 5 steps away. She opened the bag of dried pork slices and waved them around. Si Lu-tae. Do you want them? They're really delicious dried pork slices. When she waved her hand, the white tiger immediately bared its teeth and roared in danger. You don't like them? Yi Wan then reluctantly opened the only bag of beef jerky she had. What about beef jerky? This is really good. Roar! The white tiger, which was on its fours, suddenly stood up, leaned its body forward and let out a fierce roar at her. Even though she was sure it wouldn't harm her, it was inevitable that her human instincts would still lead her to be scared while facing such a huge beast. Yi Wan was so frightened that her heart stopped pumping. But she really didn't want to give up. Thus, she plucked up her courage and continued moving forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. When she was only a step away from the white tiger, an earth-shaking roar from the huge tiger resounded through the skies of Jin Garden. Yi Wan's ears started ringing as she fell to the ground. She finally experienced what it was like when the earth trembles and mountains sway. Very quickly, the big door was slammed open and Su-yi rushed in. What happened? There were footsteps from above as well. Si-han looked towards the living room with furrowed brows. All he saw was Yi Wan sitting in front of the white tiger with all sorts of colorful bags scattered on the floor. Also, the white tiger seemed to be agitated and looked like it was about to go berserk. Yi. Ms. Yi. What's going on here? Su-yi looked at this scene and was completely stupefied. Why did Yi Wan provoke Si Lu-tae in the middle of the night? Is she courting death? Si-Han turned to look at Yu Wanwan as well. Yu Wanwan went over to Si-Han with an aggrieved expression and complained, "Great White snapped at me, sob 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 Su-Yi, who the hell is Great White?" Si-Han was silent for a few seconds. "What were you doing?" I just wanted to give my snacks to Great White. Great White's so cute, I wanted to play with it." Yu Wanwan looked at the huge white tiger which was still roaring fiercely at her and suddenly felt even more upset. Su-Yi was about to break down. What the hell does she mean by cute? Si-Han wrinkled his brows. "Stay far away from it." Yu Wanwan glanced at the huge white tiger's furry head, then looked at its furry and meaty body and simply couldn't resist. "Can't I play with it? I'll just stroke its head, or its claws, can I?" "Su-Yi, you actually want to touch it? Touch its head and claws?" He was completely speechless with the woman before him. It's true that a certain courage comes with ignorance. Chapter 147, Speechless. No, there was no room for negotiation with the way Si-Han responded. Yu Wanwan was unconvinced. Why not? Si-Han looked at her indifferently and replied, "Forced love doesn't last." Yu Wanwan was speechless. She simply couldn't refute that. She never expected that one day she'd be slapped in the face by something she said herself. "Fine." Yu Wanwan glared at Si-Han like he was a bad person and then ran away in a huff. One day, she'd turned Great White into a sweet melon. She believed she could do it. After Yu Wanwan left, Sui sighed worriedly. "Ninth Master, should we ban Si Lute from Jean Garden? What if it harms Ms. Yi?" Si-Han thought about it and looked in the direction of her retreating figure. "No need." At the barbecue stall outside the entrance of Qinghe, it was already late at night but the stall was still buzzing with people. A group of big burly boys sat around a big table and were drinking and chatting. "Big boss, don't be angry. That gigolo isn't worth it. His family is only powerful now. Lately, the real estate business hasn't been doing so well, so they might go bust someday. Unlike your family, big boss, they don't have a big project with the government. That's billions in profit." That's right, that's right. That Jiang Yan Rant's a bimbo, leaving such an outstanding guy like Big Boss for a gigolo. I think Jiang Yan Rant's just using that gigolo to provoke you." Yes, that must be it." Song Zihang had been filled with anger all the way from the basketball court to the stall, but after he heard all this, he was slightly appeased. Just as he was about to speak, his phone rang. "My dad's calling, I'm going to answer it. You guys go ahead and drink first." "A call from Director Song, you better get it. Hurry and go, big boss." Song Zihang took his phone to a quiet spot, his tone somewhat excited. "Hello, Dad? Is everything settled?" Daddy Song sounded a little unhappy. "Not yet, the 100 million from the Jiang family hasn't come through." "What? Hasn't come through? I thought they said that they'd transfer it in the morning." Song Zihang's face changed. The Jiang family said there were some problems with their finances all of a sudden and couldn't transfer the money over. They'll need a few more days. The Jiangs are too unreliable, we discussed this months ago. How can there be a problem now? Do they know how much losses we would take because of their mistake? Song Zihang said, agitated. Mr. Song was obviously unhappy as well as he replied with a heavy sigh, "All right, it's not a major problem. We'll get their payment by next week at the latest." Mr. Song paused and then asked, "How are things between you and Yen Ran lately?" Song Zihang felt slightly guilty and simply gave a shallow reply, "How else could it be? Everything's the same." Mr. Song warned him sternly, "Make her happy in your free time, buy little gifts for her and shop with her. Don't be so nonchalant." Song Zihang's tone suddenly became a bit annoyed. "I'm not the Jiang family's servant, why should I give in to her, coax her or eat and play with her? Anyway, Dad, I've already told you that I like someone else." "Nonsense. I've told you so many times that now is not the time for you to do what you want, you have to restrain yourself in times like this." Wait till our family becomes more powerful first. Then, wouldn't you be able to have any girl you wanted? If you can't even restrain yourself for such a small matter now, what can you accomplish in the future? You have to make Yan Ran happy, especially now. You hear me? Song Zihang's face darkened. After a long while, he gritted his teeth and replied, "Got it, I'll make her happy. That's my boy." Chapter 148, There's no such thing as a free lunch. The next morning, before heading to class, Yi Wanwan stopped by her dorm. Even before she took out her keys, the door was pulled open. "Wanwan, you're back." Jiang Yan Ran stood by the door cheerfully. She probably heard Yi Wanwan's footsteps. Yi Wanwan was used to living alone, so having the door opened for her all of a sudden gave her a shock. "Yeah. Come on, tell me, how was the date last night?" Yi Wanwan couldn't wait to find out. Jiang Yan Ran hesitated before replying, "I told Chu Feng the truth already." Yi Wanwan was taken aback. "Huh? What did you tell him?" "I told him that it was your idea to ask him out, and initially, I more or less wanted to use him to provoke Song Zihang, but in the end, I couldn't go through with it, so I told him everything. With my current condition, I really can't dive into another relationship so fast, and this wasn't fair to him." Jiang Yan Ran answered. "All right," Yi Wanwan sighed. With Jiang Yan Ran's character, she roughly guessed that this would happen. She didn't have high hopes that they'd get together so quickly anyway. "That's okay, the two of you can still be friends. Chu Feng's a nice guy, you don't have to worry," Yi Wanwan consoled her. "Yeah," Jiang Yan Ran nodded and said, "Oh, right, my dad called me last night and said that they gave the excuse that their finances had some issues, so they weren't able to transfer money over to the songs. At the same time, they already secretly withdrew the funds from their collaborative projects." The songs weren't suspicious at all. Yi Wanwan laughed. "There's no problem if Uncle Jiang handles things, you can stop worrying. Come on, let's go eat." The two of them spoke while packing their books and went downstairs. Just as they were about to enter the canteen to eat, they bumped into someone who made their stomachs turn. Song Zihang held soy milk and steamed dumplings in his hands as he blocked the path of the two of them suddenly. The unrelenting smile on his handsome face was very clear. He looked at Jiang Yan Ran and said, "Yan Ran, you haven't had your breakfast, right? I bought it for you. You love the soy milk and steamed dumplings from Xiang Man restaurant, don't you?" Yi Wanwan raised her brows when she saw this. "TSK, there's no such thing as a free lunch. He's probably doing this because the Song family felt uneasy, so they gave him a warning. Don't they know it's too late now?" Upon seeing Song Zihang's surprisingly gentle expression, Jiang Yan Ran was put into a trance, but very quickly, she turned cold. "No, I don't. Their soy milk has a fishy smell and their steamed dumplings aren't good. Shen Mengqi's the one who likes them." Song Zihang froze. "Oh, cough, is it now? I bought them for you once and I remember clearly that you said you like them." Jiang Yan Ran sneered in her heart. "That was only because you bought breakfast for me on that rare occasion. How could I say that I didn't like it?" Thinking back, he bought a lot of food that time and even asked her to share with the people in her dorm. It was obvious that he bought them specifically for Shen Mengqi. "These two hooked up much earlier than I thought and even did it right in front of me. But I've already bought them. It's such a waste if you don't eat them, just take them." Song Zihang then shoved the breakfast into her hands. Yi Wanwan was speechless as she watched from the side. This is so insincere. Is he really trying to make things up to her? Does he think she's a garbage can? Or does he think that everybody's as stupid as he is? Chapter 149, Wooing Girls. Yi Wanwan had texted Chu Feng when she saw Song Zihang coming from afar. As to whether or not he used this opportunity depended on his wits. Yi Wanwan looked up from her phone, glanced suspiciously at Song Zihang and mumbled, "Captain Song, Yan Ren already said she doesn't like it. Why are you still forcing her to eat it? She's not a garbage can." When he heard that, He glared at Yi Wanwan with a darkened face. What garbage can? Ugly freak, don't come between us. I just don't want to waste the food. Song Zihang didn't bother any further with Yi Wanwan and continued with his sweet talk while suppressing his anger. Yan Ran, I know I went overboard with what happened before. But if you hadn't hurt Meng Qi in the first place, I wouldn't have acted out. If I didn't speak up for Meng Qi then, she would have been misunderstood and attacked by so many people. You and Meng Qi are so close, could you let that happen? Jiang Yan Ran thought that she'd be heartbroken, but after hearing what he said, she became numb. She smiled slightly and replied, so you're fine with me being misunderstood and attacked? Song Zihang had never cared about Jiang Yan Ran. He thought that by being slightly nicer to her and appearing weaker, she'd definitely run back to him with tears of gratitude. Who knew that Jiang Yan Ran wouldn't give him the time of day at all? Thus, Song Zihang started to lose his patience. His expression was cold as he held the plastic bag in his hands, his tone somewhat condescending and annoyed. Yan Ran, I didn't expect all those replies. Anyway, they merely said some bad things about you but didn't cause much harm. Do you want to cut ties with me over such a small matter? Even though I forgot what you liked, I did give you a sincere apology. He said he was sincere, but his tone didn't have a trace of sincerity at all. While Song Zihang was busy giving his speech, suddenly, a figure rushed to them like the wind. All they saw was a tall and handsome boy with his forehead soaked with sweat before them. He bent down panting, Yan Ran, Chu Feng. Jiang Yan Ran was shocked to see Chu Feng with his shirt drenched in sweat. What's going on? I'm fine. I bought breakfast for you, but I wasn't sure what you like to eat, so I got a little of everything. Chu Feng didn't even have a hand to wipe his sweat, both his arms were full of different-sized bags, up to his elbows. He went completely over the top. You'd think he was a food delivery boy. Judging by the packaging, Chu Feng also bought breakfast from Xiang Man restaurant, but he got almost everything on their menu. Compared to Chu Feng's tactics of wooing girls and sincerity, Song Zihang's cup of soy milk and box of steamed dumplings looked way too shabby. Sure enough, when Song Zihang saw Chu Feng, his face changed. And when he saw what he held in his hands, his face became as black as the underside of a pot. Jiang Yan Ran was stunned, but... This is too much. How could I possibly finish so much? Chu Feng immediately replied, just pick what you like and take it. Wouldn't that be very wasteful? No, I'll give the rest to the brats in class, it's their lucky day. Hurry, take your pick. Seeing the sweat on his face and nervousness in his eyes, Jiang Yan Ran couldn't bring herself to reject him. All right then, thank you. Chapter 150, The Hideous Face Behind the Mask. Don't mention it. Actually, I was just bored, so I went out to grab this stuff. Chu Feng then quickly turned to Yi Wanwan. Wanwan, yeah, you pick some too. He's actually quite sweet when he calls me Jie. The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips curled up. I won't hold back then. The three of them happily split their breakfast and completely ignored Song Zihang. Song Zihang gripped the plastic bag in his hands tightly. He'd never felt so embarrassed in his life. With his face darkened and filled with fury, Jiang Yan ran. I was wrong and couldn't tell that you're this sort of a person, so devoted and in love to my face but flirting behind my back. I heard Meng Qi say that after you moved in with this ugly freak, you were influenced by her. As the saying goes, he who lies down with dogs will rise with fleas. You ditched an amazing and kind roommate like Meng Qi to hang around this monster, no wonder you've become so shameless. Upon hearing what he said, Yi Wanwan raised her brows. He actually said Yan Ran was flirting around? He'll find out very soon what flirting around really means. Jiang Yan Ran turned pale instantly. She never imagined that the guy she liked for so many years would be this evil after his mask had been removed. What she couldn't tolerate the most was that he not only insulted her but Wanwan as well. Jiang Yan Ran was so angry that she started shaking. The boy next to her suddenly stepped forward and moved in front of her. He stared coldly at Song Zihang and said, "An ungrateful brat like you has the right to criticize other people?" Wan Wanjie's grades topped the class. Her position is much further ahead of the White Lotus you've claimed. With Shin Mengqi's behavior, she still dares to insult other people. Who gave her that confidence? You didn't cherish the times Yan Ran was nice to you and you took her for granted. You took her sincerity and trampled on it and even hooked up with her friend, denying the engagement with her in front of the entire school, and now, you're blaming her for not allowing you to continue bullying and stepping over her. Who exactly gave you this hideous face? Upon hearing what Chu Feng said, Yi Wanwan was a little surprised. I couldn't tell that this guy, who stutters when he's talking to Yan Ran, has such a sharp tongue. Song Zihang's face contorted in anger. You, what about me? Just because you're blind doesn't mean that others are blind too. You're not even fit to carry Yan Ran's shoes. What kind of a man are you? You're not fit to be a human. A useless scumbag. PFFF, Yi Wanwan was on the verge of giving him a round of applause. Chu Feng. You're dead meat. Song Zihang finally flew into a rage. He tossed the food in his hands aside and charged at him. Chu Feng quickly put his bags down and met him head-on, but since he was a little late, he was punched in the eye by Song Zihang and tottered backwards. Jiang Yan Ran screamed out, Chu Feng. On the other hand, Yi Wanwan was quite calm. This fight was bound to happen. No matter the outcome, Chu Feng had already won. Because the person Jiang Yan Ran was worried about was Chu Feng, not Song Zihang. Wanwan, what should we do? Song Zihang has been trained from a young age, Chu Feng's definitely at a loss here. Jiang Yan Ran exclaimed anxiously. Song Zihang's moves were ruthless, vicious and fast. Judging by his stance, he must have had some professional training. While they were speaking, Chu Feng was beaten many times. Yi Wanwan frowned. Although it was good to let Yan Ran's heart ache slightly, being beaten up by Song Zihang was really a bit too depressing. But two girls couldn't help in this situation either, right? Yi Wanwan focused all her attention and looked closely. She found out where Song Zihang might be attacking next with his swift and ruthless moves, and also his weak points, which weren't hard to guess. Chapter 151, You're too weak. Yi Wanwan blurted out without thinking, Chu Feng, dodge. To your right. Chu Feng was stunned, but fortunately, he reacted quickly and immediately leaned to his right. Sure enough, he managed to dodge a punch from Song Zihang. Attack his left rib. Yi Wanwan continued. Song Zihang didn't block in time and his left rib was left wide open. He crouched down in pain after suffering a sudden blow from Chu Feng. Just as Song Zihang got back up, ready to attack Chu Feng's stomach, Yi Wanwan shouted again, your stomach. After a few minutes, Chu Feng, who was initially receiving all the punches, got the upper hand. No matter what moves Song Zihang made, he was able to dodge and return a punch. Song Zihang was filled with exasperation and he glared at Yi Wanwan as if he wanted to eat her up. Chu Feng, who's the one that's not worthy to be a man? A big guy like you has to rely on a woman to fight? Yi Wanwan put on an innocent face and muttered, oh, I'm just a girl spewing nonsense yet was able to get you beaten up like a pig. Captain Song, aren't you a little too weak? You, Song Zihang was fuming mad. It was unbelievable. Yi Wanwan was simply too strange. She was able to predict his next moves not once or twice, but every single time. Could it be that Yi Wanwan's also trained? She's a girl, how could that be? His father had spent a large sum of money to get him lessons with an internationally renowned master. Even if he learnt only a bit, it was enough. How could Yi Wanwan possibly see through all his moves? At this moment, students started to gradually crowd around. Song Zihang was worried that if they continued, he would lose face in front of everyone. In the end, he could only stare bitterly at the three of them and walk away. Jiang Yan Ran, you'll regret this. After Song Zihang left in anger, Chu Feng wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth and walked over to Yi Wanwan excitedly. Wanwan, yeah, you're amazing. How could you predict his next moves like a mind reader? Jiang Yanran also looked at Yi Wanwan in amazement. Yi Wanwan coughed lightly. It's clearer from an onlooker's point of view. Song Zihang's skills are garbage, you guys would be able to tell too if you looked closely. Oh, the two of them didn't suspect a thing. You're bleeding. Jiang Yanran looked at the boy who had injuries on his mouth and eyes. Feeling guilty, she said, sorry for dragging you into this. Chu Feng scratched his head. His ears turned red and he returned to his usual silly self. Nah, I was useless and didn't protect you well. From today onwards, I'll train hard. Jiang Yanran didn't know what to say, so she said, I'll go with you to the school nurse. Chu Feng wanted to tell her not to trouble herself, but Yi Wanwan hinted at him with her eyes, so he swallowed his words and said, I'll have to trouble you then. Jiang Yanran turned to Yi Wanwan. Wanwan, go eat your breakfast first. I'll go with Chu Feng to the nurse. Yi Wanwan waved, go on, go on. After Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng left, Yi Wanwan stood there looking slightly dazed and thought deeply. Actually, to those skilled and experienced fighters, it's easy to see through their opponent's tactics and moves. To people like this was as easy as 1 + 1 = 2, a natural instinct. Chapter 152, Of course I'll forgive her. In fact, she shouldn't have this ability. During her previous life, although her father hired a professional to train her so that she could learn some self-defense, she only kept at it for a month. However, she realized that when it came to combat skills or any other skills that normal people found uncommon, she was able to pick them up very quickly with her strong perceptive skills. It was like those skills were ingrained in her brain. She wasn't learning, but instead, she was merely recalling them. Previously, in order to hide from Si Yihan, she not only hid her looks but all the abilities she had, anything that might expose her sharpness. But in this life, she wouldn't be so silly. There was a metaphorical knife in her hand, and yet, she had allowed herself and the people around her to end up in tragedies. After school, the moment Yi Wanwan left the classroom, she saw Shen Mengqi waiting eagerly for her by the door. It seemed like she noticed that she was getting closer to Jiang Yanran and had started to panic. Wanwan. The second Shen Mengqi saw Yi Wanwan, she immediately walked over enthusiastically and hooked onto her elbow. Shall we all have a barbecue dinner tonight? Yi Wanwan replied in her usual tone, sure. While walking, Shen Mengqi probed, Wanwan, I heard you're living with Yanran now. It must be hard to live with someone with her character, right? Why don't you move over to my place? It's fine, I'm too lazy to move all over the place, Yi Wanwan replied nonchalantly. Shen Mengqi was still worried. Did Yanran tell you anything about me? Wanwan, you know me best. With Yanran's incident, I didn't do it on purpose. I had no choice when Song Zihang kept pestering me. In order to not upset her, I tried my best to hide it, but who knew it would still make her upset in the end and misunderstand me. Wanwan, you can understand how I feel, right? If it was the old Yi Wanwan, she'd definitely understand. Even if there was evidence right in front of her eyes stating otherwise, she'd still choose to believe Shen Mengqi. Yi Wanwan wrinkled her brows like she was hesitating, but in the end, she nodded. She spoke like she'd just been brainwashed. Mengqi, of course I understand. You're so pretty, kind and amazing. It's inevitable that so many people are in love with you. How could we blame you? After hearing that, Shen Mengqi was delighted. A trace of mockery appeared beneath her eyes. I was nervous for nothing. Yi Wanwan's so dumb, she's still as gullible as before. While the two of them chatted, Shen Mengqi's phone suddenly rang. Yi Wanwan took a peek and saw it was the name of one of the junior boys in second year, one of the fanatical suitors of Shen Mengqi. His family was also well off, but of course, was incomparable to Song Zihang. There were quite a few others that she knew of who were kept hanging like spare tires by Shen Mengqi. Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin and a glow of understanding flashed across her eyes. Hello. Shen Mengqi didn't move away from Yi Wanwan and picked up the call. Saturday? I'm afraid I can't make it, I have makeup classes. I can't make it on Sunday too, I'm really sorry. Next time, alright? Shen Mengqi used the sweetest voice to reject whoever was on the phone. Her main focus was on Song Ziheng now. All the spare tires 1, 2, and 3 had to be on standby for now. Shen Mengqi hung up, looked at Yi Wanwan and continued, Yan Ren seemed to be so in love with Song Ziheng, I really didn't expect that she'd get together with Chu Feng so quickly. Probably because Chu Feng comes from a wealthy family, with the way things were going, not only was she trying to brainwash her, she was also prepared to smear Jiang Yanran and hint that Jiang Yanran was flirtatious and greedy. But actually, with Shen Mengqi's intelligence, she knew just as well as everybody else that Chu Feng's family's glory was only temporary as the industry wasn't doing well and plummeting. They'd be bankrupt very soon. She obviously wouldn't fall for this kind of person. The two of them chatted away while walking towards the dorms to put their books down. The moment they reached the entrance to the girls' dormitory, they suddenly noticed a large crowd around the entrance. Chapter 153, Seeking Death. After the people saw Shen Mengqi, their eyes lit up and they rushed towards her with eyes of envy. They announced her arrival aloud teasingly, She's here, she's here. Shen Mengqi's here. As they moved closer, Yi Wanwan saw a big heart shape on the ground floor of the girls' dorm made of candles. In the middle was Shen Mengqi's name and surrounding it was a sea of roses. Song Ziheng's tall and handsome figure stood there. In his arms was a giant bouquet of roses, almost half as tall as a person, and his gaze was fixated on Shen Mengqi. Shen Mengqi played along and gave a shocked expression. Her helpless and shy appearance, like a little white bunny, was enough to tug at the heartstrings of any guy. Under the gaze of all the onlookers, Song Ziheng carried the flowers and walked towards Shen Mengqi with vigorous strides. Mengqi, forgive me for being presumptuous. But there are some things, some feelings that I can't hold back any longer. I like you. From the first time I met you, I fell deeply for you. I like your simplicity, your kindness, your innocence, your everything. I know you're the one I want, the one I'm destined to be with, the one I want to protect my entire life. Song Ziheng's confession caused the crowd to scream in excitement and envy. Ah! That's so romantic and lovely. Captain Song, you're amazing. If someone courted me like that, my life would be complete. Say yes. Say yes. Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes and was speechless when she saw all those candles and roses. This method of confession was so outdated but was probably quite novel for this period in time. TSK, this Song Ziheng doesn't let me down, he's still dashing ahead on the road to death. The Song family gave him a call deliberately to get him to pacify Jiang Yanran. Instead, he did the exact opposite. Since he was thoroughly embarrassed by Jiang Yanran that morning and lost his dignity, he made a grand confession to Shen Mengqi for revenge. At this moment, Yi Wanwan saw from afar that Jiang Yanran was also in the crowd. The people around her were gesticulating, most of them were either gloating or sympathizing with her. Jiang Yanran's so unlucky. After all, she was the one who liked Song Ziheng first. That's right, although Chu Feng's not that bad, the Chu family has a mess to deal with and they probably reached their end already. Unlike the Song family, their news is everywhere on the economics cover page. But you can't blame Song Ziheng for choosing Shen Mengqi, there aren't many girls who are as simple and kind as Shen Mengqi these days. Initially, Yi Wanwan was worried about Jiang Yanran but thankfully, her reaction was better than expected. She only glanced at all of this coldly and was disinterested in Song Ziheng's performance as she carried her books back into the dormitory nonchalantly. While Shen Mengqi next to her was blushing under the envious eyes of everyone and basking in Song Ziheng's affectionate confession, she appeared to be very shy, inciting an urge to embrace and love her. Seeing Shen Mengqi's abashed little face, the agitation that Song Ziheng felt that morning by Jiang Yanran instantly disappeared. When he saw the retreating figure of Jiang Yan ran from the corner of his eye, he even thought that she left heartbroken. Song Zihang looked at Shen Mengqi once again and continued his confession with deep emotions. Mengqi, be with me. Give me the chance to take care of you, protect you, and give you happiness. Shen Mengqi obviously didn't let such a good opportunity to clutch on to Song Zihang pass. However, with her shrewdness, she wouldn't accept him directly in front of everyone. She put on a shy face the whole way and accepted the flowers from Song Zihang after making a polite show of declining. She still didn't say a word and hurried back into the dormitory, blushing. With this kind of reaction, it could be thought that she had accepted him in the eyes of Song Zihang and the crowd. However, if she wanted to deny what happened or pacify her spare tires, she'd be able to. Yi Wanwan watched delightfully as Song Zihang sought death. She calculated the time in her heart. Uncle Jiang should be ready soon and it was also time for her to prepare. Chapter 154, Recovered Losses. In the following week, Song Zihang let himself loose and got very intimate with Shen Mengqi. Yi Wanwan observed the situation with the Jiang family calmly while gathering information secretly and waited for an opportunity. Her big move on Si Xia had worked for quite some time. The boy was very well behaved for an entire week and didn't dare to provoke her, and he was also very obedient during rehearsals. After waiting in silence for several days, the news that Yi Wanwan was waiting for finally arrived. Today was the day of the government open bid. Mr. Jiang called just as she arrived back at the dormitory that night. Yi Wanwan prompted. Jiang Yan ran anxiously with her eyes glistening. Quick, answer it. Jiang Yan ran nodded and turned on the loudspeaker. Hello, Daddy. Mr. Jiang's loving voice came through the receiver. Hello, Yan ran, Daddy called to tell you some good news. Today's bid was very successful, we got the project. Although it was expected, Yi Wanwan was still quite emotional. While she was still basking in happiness, Mr. Jiang went on, also, we've publicly announced the cancellation of your engagement with the songs. Thanks to your friend's warning, we were able to act in time before they were alerted. I've withdrawn all the funds from the other projects and cancelled numerous collaborations and dealings. I've also managed to recover all our losses. Most importantly, that big project was in the Jiang's hands. So anyhow, they made some gains from it. Oh right, is your friend there? She's here. Jiang Yan ran past the phone over to Yi Wanwan. Uncle Jiang, I'm here. Wanwan, come over for dinner when you're free. Uncle owes you a big one. Let me know if you need help in future. Thank you, Uncle. Uncle should be the one thanking you. At the same time, in the school canteen, Song Zihang didn't have a clue about what was going on and was still enjoying a sweet dinner with Shen Mengqi. These days, the two of them were always together like a little couple deeply in love. They were still displaying their affection publicly as usual today. Zihang, today's the day your family takes part in the bid with the government, right? I wonder what the result will be, Shen Mengqi asked in a caring manner, filled with curiosity. Once she mentioned that, Song Zihang was immediately filled with satisfaction and said confidently, I spoke to my dad last night, everything's in place, the funds will definitely reach us soon. There's absolutely no problem. Shen Mengqi sighed in relief and said, that's good. At first, I was worried that I would cause trouble for you. What if Yan Ran said some things to her parents? Song Zihang replied fearlessly, how could that be, Mengqi? You're too simple-minded. Both our families have worked together for so many years and are inseparable. Our partnership isn't something that can be destroyed by a spoiled princess like Jiang Yan Ran spouting a few words. Look at how impressive the Jiangs are now, it's all because they have our backing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have survived. Jiang Yan Ran's parents were both in the entertainment industry before and went through a complete career change. What would they know about doing business? That's true, it's truly all thanks to your family. Yan Ran's too ungrateful and even pulled that trick with Chu Feng. Isn't she trying to make you look bad on purpose? Shen Mengqi said defensively and looked at him in admiration. Chapter 155, Fiery Rage. Song Ziheng thoroughly enjoyed being looked at this way and continued pouring lavish praises on Shen Mengqi. Don't talk about that woman, how could she compare to you? Mengqi, I'm my father's only son and will definitely inherit the wealth of the family. By then, I'll definitely give you the best of everything. Ziheng, Shen Mengqi appeared to be moved. I don't care about any of that. As long as I can be with you, that's all I need. While the two of them were being lovey-dovey, Song Ziheng's phone rang. Upon seeing the caller ID, Song Ziheng's face brightened. My dad's calling, it must be to report the good news. Shen Mengqi was also very excited when she heard that. Hello, Dad. Song Ziheng immediately picked up the call. Ziheng, get back here right now. Daddy Song's solemn voice came through the receiver. Song Ziheng was still clouded by the excitement of having the kingdom and this beauty in his hands and didn't hear the difference in his father's tone. Got it, I'll come back right now. After he hung up, Song Ziheng told Shen Mengqi, Mengqi, my dad wants me to go back. It's probably to attend the celebration party. You should get going then. Shen Mengqi revealed a joyful expression, certain that she didn't put her stakes on the wrong horse. Song Ziheng held the girl's slender hand. Mengqi, I'll tell my parents about us after I head back. I'll be able to bring you home next time. Song Ziheng rushed back home eagerly. Dad! Congratulations! Are we having a celebration tonight? Song Ziheng pushed the door open and entered the living room in high spirits. But then he was hit on the head by a teacup the moment he stepped in. Bastard! Song Ziheng's forehead started hurting as he got his wits smashed out of him. Dad! You're insane. Mrs. Song saw her own son being hit on the head and was heartbroken. She brought a towel over and pressed on the wound. Old Song. Can't you talk things out nicely? Do you have to use such a heavy hand? Talk nicely. How do you want me to talk to him nicely? Mr. Song's face turned red with fury. Mom? What exactly happened? Isn't today the day of the bid? Dad, why are you so angry, hitting me the moment I get back? Am I really your son? Song Ziheng said resentfully. Mrs. Song covered her son's mouth like he said something taboo. Don't mention the bid. At first, the Jiangs promised they would transfer the 100 million over before the bid. Who knew that they didn't transfer the money and even entered the bid to compete with us? In the end, the project landed in the Jiang family's hands. Song Ziheng's expression changed instantly and he shouted in an uncontrollable rage, Mom! What did you just say? The Jiangs acted in bad faith. How could they do this? That project was rightfully ours. Mrs. Song continued gravely, that isn't the worst part. Our families were relatives by marriage. It's fine if they don't trust our family and took the deal away. We'd be a family sooner or later and the Jiang family only has one daughter so everything would belong to you. However, after the bidding ended, that Jiang Haichao actually announced the cancellation of our two families' engagement in front of everyone and even said that they want to cut all ties. All the collaborations between both our families were severed overnight. Song Ziheng was in disbelief. Mom! What did you just say? They called off the engagement? How can they simply call it off whenever they want? Who do they think we are? Throwing us away when our value has depleted? They're going too far. We can't let this go. Chapter 156, Ask Your Dear Son. Mrs. Song sized her son up and hesitated. Ziheng, let me ask you, did you have no idea what was going on at all? Did you do something that you weren't supposed to do? Upon hearing his mother's skeptical tone, Song Ziheng blurted out, Mom! What do you mean by that? How would I know? What could I have possibly done? Also, Dad, I wanted to ask you, didn't you keep saying that there's no problem at all? How did it become like this all of a sudden? Did the deal go bust before? Mr. Song slammed the table and shouted, You don't know. If you didn't know, why would Jiang Haichao tell me to go home and ask my dear son? Whose fault could it be other than yours? Do you know how much manpower, resources, and finances the company has invested into this bid? We even took up a huge loan. All the money has been invested into the equipment for that machine factory. Now that the deal's gone, everything has become a pile of scrap metal. What? Jiang Haichao told Dad to come home and ask me. Song Zihang's heart thumped hard as cold sweat started trickling down his spine. Ask me, Mrs. Song said anxiously. Yes. Zihang, quickly, think about what you've done exactly. There might be a way to salvage this. Otherwise, the company's really gone. Our whole family will have to sleep on the streets. Actually, from the time the Jiang family delayed the loan, I sensed something was off. Now that I think back, Jiang Haichao had probably started making plans from that point in time. Otherwise, the projects couldn't have been withdrawn so quickly and the bid wouldn't have gone so smoothly, catching us off guard. Your father and I thought about it for a long time and we were sure that nothing unusual happened during this period. Jiang Haichao's attitude has always been the same and both our families didn't have any conflict, so we really couldn't figure out why he turned against us suddenly. Think about it carefully. What have you done recently? Mr. Song then stared at his son in anger. That day, I specifically called you to tell you to be nicer to Yan Ran. Did you act accordingly? Let me ask you, did you make Yan Ran angry? Song Zihang's face was ghastly pale at this point in time. Facing his raging father, he swallowed his saliva and forced himself to be calm. Then, he denied it without the slightest hesitation. How could that be? Dad, Mom, you guys still don't know me. Since when have I not waited upon that rich girl, Jiang Yan Ran, like a princess? All I have done is tolerated her temper. How could I make her angry? Don't you guys know what I've been through all these years? I really didn't expect that even after suffering such indignities without complaint, Jiang Haichao was still so petty and unsatisfied with me. It's obvious that the Jiangs are ungrateful and discarded us after our help was expended. Mr. Song stared at his son sternly for a long time. Seeing that he pledged all this in sincerity and was affirmative in his tone, he started to believe him. When Mrs. Song heard what he said, she was completely on her son's side. Old Song. We're witnesses to how Zihang usually treats Yan Ran. He's pretty much given her a sacrificial offering. How could it be Zihang's fault? Mr. Song turned livid with rage and completely shifted his fury over to the Jiang family. All right, you Jiang Haichao. So much for treating him like our family. He actually resorted to double dealing and even hit us back by disparaging my son. Chapter 157, incredibly shameless. Seeing that his parents were no longer suspicious, Song Zihang heaved a sigh of relief silently. Thankfully, he had been very nice to Yan Ran in front of the parents of both families. Even Jiang Haichao wouldn't suspect him, much less his parents. Then, how did this happen? How did things end up this way? In the blink of an eye, he lost everything. The project was gone, the collaboration was gone, the production line was useless, the company was knee-deep in debt and was about to go bankrupt. He knew Jiang Yan Ran too well and was confident that he already had that woman hooked. No matter what he did, she'd never object because she was afraid that he'd hate her, so it was impossible that she'd go home to complain. So what if he protected Meng Qi and confessed to her in public? That would only make Yan Ran jealous and become more devoted to him. Now, she dolled up so beautifully and ran to Chu Feng just to provoke him and try to change his mind, right? He never expected that Jiang Haichao would actually call off the engagement between the two families. Damn it! I knew it. It must be because that woman, Jiang Yan Ran, was pushed too far, so she had to use heavy tactics to force me to submit. Song Zihang tried probing his dad. Dad, what should we do now? A sense of tiredness overwhelmed Mr. Song's face. I can only think of one thing. If the Jiang family is willing to work with us on this government project, that's the only way to salvage things. But if Jiang Haichao really wants to be so brutal, I won't let him have it so easy. I'll fight until both sides perish. I want everyone to know the crafty and treacherous side of the Jiangs. Then we'll see how they can continue to work in this field, how their daughter is going to get married. Song Zihang's face turned gloomy. Dad, you're right. The Song family is not to be trifled with. Mrs. Song looked at her son, heartbroken. Zihang, it's been hard on you all these years. You've been so kind to Yan Ran, yet the Jiangs were so ruthless nonetheless. After Song Zihang left his house, he rushed back to school with rage burning inside of him. At the same time, Yu Wanwan and Jiang Yan Ran had enjoyed a lavish meal at the barbecue stall in celebration and were taking a stroll by the sports grounds to digest their food. Suddenly, Jiang Yan Ran's phone rang. Jiang Yan Ran opened the text to take a look. Song Zihang asked to meet me. Yu Wanwan lifted her gaze, unbothered by it. Meet him then. After all, it was a good opportunity for Jiang Yan Ran to see the true colors of this scumbag. Jiang Yan Ran pinched her fingers and then replied, I'm at the sports grounds. I'll sit over there and wait for you. Yu Wanwan went and sat down at the stands nearby. Song Zihang got there very quickly, almost sprinting like the wind to Jiang Yan Ran. He had just managed to catch his breath before he immediately started scolding her. Jiang Yan Ran. I really didn't expect that you'd be this kind of person. You tossed me away once you hooked up with that gigolo, Chu Feng. And you actually made your father call off the engagement. You think the engagement can be called off just like that by the Jiang family? What do you think the Song family is, people that re at your beck and call? Jiang Yan Ran looked at the boy in front of her, expressionless. Are you done? What? Wasn't I right? Are you feeling guilty now? I really didn't expect that you'd be so evil. That project belongs to my family, who are you to snatch it from us? Upon hearing what Song Zihang said, even Yu Wanwan was stunned and amazed by how shameless he was. Chapter 158, Who hasn't fallen for a few scumbags before? Jiang Yan Ran had an indescribable sadness in her heart. Oh, I'm evil for calling off the engagement? Who exactly declared that the engagement didn't exist and said that he wasn't related to me at all? I've only fulfilled your desires. What? Is that wrong? An icy glow flashed beneath Song Zihang's eyes. Jiang Yan Ran, don't bring that up and make a thing of it now. I'm warning you, you better go back and get your father to retract what he said about calling off the engagement and work together with the Song family for the project. Of course, it's fine if you insist on calling off the engagement. As compensation, you just have to hand the project over to the Song family. Then, I can act like this incident never happened. Otherwise, don't hope that I can forgive you in this lifetime. Don't test my patience. There has to be a limit to your stubbornness. Song Zihang's attitude seemed like he was certain that Jiang Yan Ran's actions aimed to get him to change his mind. He clearly thought that she was still deeply in love with him and that she was still the same girl who'd given to him whenever he got angry. Watching the guy she used to like for so many years saying all these ridiculous things, finally, the last glimmer of light in Jiang Yan Ran's eyes went out. Song Zihang, you disgust me. You. Song Zihang watched the retreating figure of the girl, his face filled with fury. In the girls' dormitory, after they went back, Yu Wanwan sensed that Jiang Yan Ran was a little upset. Are you okay? Jiang Yan Ran smiled bitterly. I just found it quite scary. What if I hadn't seen his true colors in time? What would have happened to me in the end? Thinking back to what happened to Jiang Yan Ran in the end, Yu Wanwan's heart froze as well. Yu Wanwan understood very well how it felt to have your beliefs vanish into thin air. She sighed and said, cheer up, who hasn't fallen for a few scumbags when they were young? Jiang Yan Ran was amused and laughed out loud. Speaking of which, we both seem to be in the same boat. Actually, I've always been quite curious. You were so in love with Gu Yuze before, what made you change your mind all of a sudden? Yu Wanwan's eyes turned slightly gloomy and replied, I found out about some truths by accident. In the next few days, as the bidding process was still incomplete and results hadn't been announced publicly, very few people knew about it and the public wasn't aware of the outcome. As Song Zihang had previously boasted about it non-stop, every student in school assumed that the Song family got it. These people went up to Song Zihang to congratulate him and try to curry favor with him. Shen Mengqi was very sharp and realized that Song Zihang seemed to be distracted these few days. She wasn't sure whether it was because he was affected by Jiang Yanran's recent transformation or that he was overjoyed at securing the deal. Anyhow, she couldn't let the prey in her hands escape again. Thus, she was more courteous towards Song Zihang and even took the initiative to ask him out that Saturday. With each passing day that the project remained out of his hands, Song Zihang became uneasy. He still maintained the fantasy that Jiang Yanran would compromise eventually. While he was shopping with Shen Mengqi, he received a call from home once again. Song Zihang ducked away from Shen Mengqi and answered the call. "Hello, Mom, how's everything?" His mother's furious voice came through the receiver immediately. "Zihang, the Jiang family is too cruel this time. We can't think of a way out now. He could help us out with just a simple lift of his finger, but he'd rather have the expensive equipment that our company bought rather than work with us. He's obviously pushing us to our death. That old bastard. He's actually treating us like that." Song Zihang boiled in anger. Chapter 159, Revenge and Desperation. Mrs. Song's tone became somewhat deranged. "I won't let them off, I'll never let them off. TSK, Jiang Haichao. He thinks he'll be fine by hiding from me. He wants his daughter to marry someone better off. There's no way. I'll make that wretch lose her reputation. I'll let everyone know how the Jiangs were so treacherous that they broke the contract. Let's see who'd want the Jiang family's junk then." "Mom? What are you planning to do?" "Don't you worry. Mommy will definitely help you get revenge." "Wait. Mom? Mom?" She already hung up. Shen Mengqi walked over to him with a worried look. "Zihang, what happened? Who called?" "Nothing." Song Zihang shook his head and felt uneasy. The Jiang family still hadn't relented yet. Shen Mengqi was too focused on winning him over from Jiang Yanran and didn't think too much of it. "Let's go get our pictures taken then. If we don't go now, there'll be lots of people lining up later." She had already concluded that Song Zihang's unusual behavior these few days was all due to Jiang Yanran. Dressing up to the nines and getting all intimate with Chu Feng. Does Jiang Yanran really think that I don't know her true intentions? If Jiang Yanran stopped fighting with her, she wouldn't need to put in so much effort. To her, the more someone wanted something, the more valuable it became and the more satisfaction she'd feel once she obtained it. At Qinghe High School, the performance was in a few days' time. Most of the students didn't go home that weekend and were busy decorating the hall and rehearsing. In the big hall, many classes lined up to rehearse. There were people bustling about and the whole place felt very lively. The show that Senior Class A was performing was ballet. Jiang Yanran and Shen Mengqi were both in it. Class A. Next is Class A's Swan Lake. Is everyone here? The host asked aloud. Wait. There's still one more. She's on the way. She'll be here very soon. The captain of the dance team from Class A replied. Make her hurry. Got it, got it. Who are we waiting on from our class? Someone asked. Shen Mengqi. She went out today, the captain replied. Went out? Where'd she go? How could she be late for the rehearsal? I think I saw her leaving through the school gates with Song Zihang this morning, someone replied softly. Oh, everybody responded like they were suddenly enlightened and looked pointedly at Jiang Yanran, who was stretching in the corner. Everyone started whispering. Shen Mengqi and Song Zihang should have started dating already, right? Seems like it. They're a perfect match. Unlike someone here who pestered him and came up with a lie about having an engagement when her plan failed. Exactly, she was obviously the one breaking up the couple and accused Shen Mengqi of being the third party. Jiang Yanran was usually arrogant and domineering and had offended quite a number of people. Plus, she was very gifted and was the best at dancing so naturally, they took advantage of the chance to ridicule her. Just as it was Class A's turn to rehearse, a middle-aged woman in a navy blue cheongsam suddenly shoved through the crowd and walked towards the stage. Everyone in the hall was a student. The sudden appearance of a middle-aged woman caused everybody to turn to look at her. Most of them recognized she was Song Zihang's mother. Everybody could see the towering rage across her face. She walked straight to Jiang Yan, ran in her high heels and slapped her in her face without hesitation. "You shameless little bitch." Chapter 160, Devoted. Mrs. Song's appearance was too sudden and Jiang Yan Ran didn't manage to dodge in time, so she caught a hard slap to the face. The big lively hall was in total silence all of a sudden. Mrs. Song pointed at Jiang Yan Ran's nose and started yelling, "Ungrateful little bitch, your whole family is trash. Before, you insisted on having your nuptials prearranged with our Zihang, but now that you have power, you've kicked him aside. Calling off the wedding and trying to climb up the ladder, do you really think the Song family is that easily bullied? Tell me, which gigolo did you hook up with behind Zihang's back? The one with the surname Chu?" Jiang Haichao really brought up his daughter well. Flirting around when she's engaged to someone, once you found someone richer, you tossed our Zihang away and even snatched our family's project, forcing our family to the brink of death. I used to treat you like a princess, but you actually think you are one? Based on your talent, looks and actions, you're not worthy of my son at all. If it wasn't for you wasting his time, my son would have found someone better. My son was so devoted to you, yet you were so unappreciative and kept criticizing him." Mrs. Song let loose a flood of words, cursing and swearing at her, with each comment getting uglier. As she was an elder, Jiang Yan Ran remained respectful and didn't say a word at all. Her body trembled slightly and her expression was dazed and numb. She didn't expect that Auntie Song, who was usually so warm and nice towards her, someone who she treated like her own mother in her heart, would actually be so malicious with her words. Could it be that the love she showed for me was fake this whole time? I've never felt unworthy of Song Zihang. Amongst the crowd, Yi Wanwan's gaze paused at Jiang Yan Ran's red and swollen face and a hint of coldness flashed in her eyes. Suddenly, she exclaimed aloud, "Oh God! Jiang Yan Ran and Song Zihang actually had an engagement? How could that be?" Mrs. Song, who was still in the midst of scolding Yan Ran, heard that questioning voice and became even more enraged. She scanned her eyes over everybody present in the hall and said firmly, "Why wouldn't there be? Did this little bitch lie and say she didn't have anything to do with the Song family? Let me tell all of you, the two of them have been engaged to each other before they were even born. Parents from both families saw their fortunes and exchanged cards. There isn't anybody in our circle who doesn't know they're a pair. My son was so nice to her and pampered her like a princess so devotedly, how could she have the guts to deny this? Everyone, take a look at the true colors of this little bitch. She cheated on my son and even wanted to take down my family's company. How is there such an evil woman in this world? Oh!" Upon hearing what Mrs. Song said, the onlookers were stunned. Damn! What did this woman just say? Song Zihang and Jiang Yan Ran really had an engagement. She actually said that Song Zihang was devoted to Jiang Yan Ran. Mrs. Song noticed that there was something wrong with the way the onlookers looked at her but couldn't figure out what it was. Yi Wanwan looked at her mockingly and said with doubt, "That's impossible. Auntie, you must be lying. Song Zihang's girlfriend is obviously Shen Mengqi, how is he related to Jiang Yan Ran at all?" Mrs. Song couldn't tolerate this kind of accusation and was furious as she blurted out, "I'm lying? I'm Song Zihang's mother. How could my words be fake? Obviously, this little bitch was lying. Who on earth is Shen Mengqi? What nonsense are you spouting?" Chapter 161, Twisting the Facts. Yi Wanwan protested, "Mengqi's my best friend. We all know that she's the honorable girlfriend of Song Zihang. I think you're the one spouting nonsense. Are you trying to accuse our Meng Qi of being the third party here? You're too much. You. What did you say? Zi Hang's girlfriend, Mrs. Song, was shocked. As she looked at Jiang Yanran's red and swollen face, a sense of uneasiness arose in her heart. At this point, almost everybody understood what was going on. Yi Wanwan didn't have to continue anymore. A girl standing next to Mrs. Song turned to her and asked, "You're Song Zihang's mom? Did you know that Song Zihang declared to the whole school that he doesn't have anything to do with Jiang Yanran and even said that the engagement didn't exist? He said it was just a joke between the two families and then he confessed his love to another girl on the spot." Mrs. Song came to her senses and replied angrily, This can't be true. How could my son do something like that? Stop attacking him." Some people couldn't tolerate this any further and started talking all at once. How are we attacking him? Everybody in school knows about this, we're all witnesses, okay? That's right. When Jiang Yanran found out that Song Zihang had a secret date with her best friend, Shen Mengqi, she had a fight with her. We were all initially helping Jiang Yanran scold Mengqi, but in the end, Song Zihang slapped Jiang Yanran in front of everyone and announced on the school's forum that he didn't have an engagement with her. If you don't believe us, you can see it for yourself on the forum. Look for the video of Jiang Yanran attacking the third party and Song Zihang defending the third party. The announcement and everything else are on there. Song Zihang confessed to Shen Mengqi in a very grand way with candles and flowers, and they've been together constantly these past few days. You're now saying that he and Jiang Yanran were engaged. Don't you think that's a bit contradictory? At this time, the speculations were getting louder and everybody was shocked at this turn of events. I didn't think that Song Zihang had been lying this whole time to protect the third party. Shen Mengqi really was the third party. I thought Song Zihang was quite manly at first, but who knew he was a scumbag who hooked up with his fiancée's best friend behind her back. His mom actually dared to say he was devoted to Jiang Yanran. Where did she find the guts to say that? What do you mean behind her back? He hooked up with that girl right under Jiang Yanran's nose. TSK. Also, the big project that Song Zihang has been boasting about was busted already. Probably as revenge from the Jiang family. He deserves it. I thought the Song family was powerful, but they only relied on help from the Jiang family. His mom actually came down to school to twist the facts and slap Jiang Yanran, putting the blame on the victim. Oh my god. This has me totally twisted. What kind of people are in this family? They're just a pack of ungrateful wolves. They're shameless. Mrs. Song became paler and paler when she heard the overwhelming ridicule and insults circling around her. Her initial plan was to find Jiang Yanran to seek revenge and ruin her reputation, but instead, she learnt the truth and almost fainted on the spot. The reason why the Jiang family wanted to call off the engagement suddenly was because of this. Zihang denied the engagement in front of everyone and hooked up with another girl in school immediately after. This is impossible. This is completely impossible. Yi Wanwan caught a glimpse of a figure trying to sneak off into the crowd, and she rushed over nimbly, grabbed onto Shen Mengqi's elbow and said anxiously, "Mengqi. You're finally here. Hurry, explain things to everyone. They're too much, they actually said that you're a shameless third party. You're definitely not this kind of person, right?" Suddenly, everybody turned to Yi Wanwan and saw the flustered Shen Mengqi standing next to Song Zihang. Chapter 162, Avoiding Responsibility. Yi Wanwan's words seemed to defend Shen Mengqi, yet they pushed her directly into the eye of the storm once again. It's fine that this ugly freak isn't good looking, but is there something wrong with her brain too? Zihang's mom already said that there was an engagement, yet Wanwan still thinks it was a misunderstanding. What else should we call Mengqi other than the third party? Song Zihang has really tested my limits. On one hand, he was relying on his fiancée's family's support, and on the other, he went with a slut in front of her. His family is on the verge of bankruptcy and yet, he's still fooling around and trying to put up a front, acting like a rich young kid. Shen Mengqi tried shaking her off, but before she managed to weasel out of Yi Wanwan's grasp, she was blocked by the crowd. She was astounded. She never expected that things would turn out this way. She always aimed high. Her greatest goal was to be with Si Yihan, but she knew very well how distant that man was and low the possibility of being with him was, so she didn't act silly and sit around to wait for an unobtainable target. She'd be graduating soon and was preparing to enter the entertainment industry, so she needed a strong backer. She knew her strengths very well. Unlike those old foxes who'd already entered high society, these little boys in school were easier to entrap. Among the boys whom she paid attention to, only the young master of the Zheng family was up to par. Although all these rich kids had honorable families, they didn't have much authority at home. She had to wait many years for him to take over the business and manage the household. She tried probing him a few times, but after she found out she couldn't get what she wanted from him, she left him hanging and treated him like a spare tire, just like how she treated every other guy. But Song Zihang was different. Once he graduated, he'd be able to enter the family company. Furthermore, after they got that government project, they'd generate large profits and capital instantly. It was smooth sailing at first. During today's date, Song Zihang had promised her that once he graduated, he'd convince his dad to invest in a $1 million movie and designate her as the female lead. The male lead and important supporting roles would also be from their company. If she was able to pull such a big investment, she could immediately gain a foothold in the entertainment industry, while allowing the company to gain recognition. After the date, Song Zihang said that he wanted to accompany her to rehearsal and she readily agreed, eager to show off her trophy to Jiang Yanran. Who would have guessed that once they stepped in, they'd see Song Zihang's mother making a scene in the hall, telling everyone about the engagement between Song Zihang and Jiang Yanran. Not only that, what did Mrs. Song just say? Not to mention the big project that the Song family didn't get, but now, they're being forced by the Jiang family to the verge of bankruptcy. Just a second ago, Song Zihang said boldly that he wanted to make me the most popular actress. He even said that the Jiang family wouldn't be able to do that without the Songs and didn't dare to offend them. He was actually lying to me from the start. The boy that she'd laboriously scavenged would soon become a worthless pauper. If she'd known this earlier, she would have spent all her efforts on Jingbin. Hearing all the nasty comments around him and facing Shen Mengqi's stare, Song Zihang turned pale and went into a frantic rage. He dashed to his mom. "Mom. Are you crazy? What are you doing here? You're asking me. Let me ask you, were they telling the truth? You really went to find a woman behind Yan Ran's back? She's the one." Mrs. Song shot daggers at Shen Mengqi. Due to Yi Wanwan holding her back, Shen Mengqi didn't manage to escape in time and could only hide behind Song Zihang. Song Zihang's face darkened as he protected Shen Mengqi. "Mom. Let's go home and talk." Chapter 163, Made a fool out of you. With the bare truth in front of her, Mrs. Song felt as if heaven and earth were falling down. When she thought about how she slapped Jiang Yanran and how she could never take that back, she felt so remorseful that her intestines turned green. Under her rage and panic, she had shifted all her hatred onto that woman. Now, she charged at Shen Mengqi and grabbed her by the hair. "You shameless bitch. You're the one who seduced my son, right? I'll beat you to death, you shit. Seducing someone else's fiancé at such a young age. How did your parents raise you?" Shen Mengqi didn't expect that a casual comment by Yi Wanwan could have this effect. Her scalp was nearly ripped out by Mrs. Song as she shrieked in pain. I didn't. I didn't. I don't know. I don't know anything, you don't know. You're still pretending now. You saw that our Zihang was a good chance for you to climb your way up. I've seen many people like you." Song Zihang saw that his sweetheart was being scolded and beaten by his mother and started panicking. "Mom. What are you doing? Let Mengqi go. I told you, This has nothing to do with Meng Qi, I'm the only one at fault. So what if I like Meng Qi? She's simple and kind, 1,000 times better than Jiang Yanran. Shut up. Get over here and apologize to Yanran. I think your heart's covered in pig oil. What the hell did you feed my son, you wretch? Bring your parents here. I want to see which family raised such a shameless daughter. Song Zihang looked at how Shen Meng Qi was in tears and his heart almost shattered. I'm not apologizing, why should I apologize? Even if I hadn't done what I did, the Jiang family already had these intentions. You think Jiang Yan Ran's any more faithful? She ran straight to the gigolo from the Chu family right after. Shen Meng Qi was sobbing, Auntie, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I really didn't know that Zihang was already engaged. I'm really in love with him. Zihang's an outstanding guy, I'm sure many girls are attracted to him. At first, I held my feelings back because of Yan Ran, but it was Zihang who gave me courage. But if I'd known that he and Yan Ran were engaged, I would never have gone between them. Shen Meng Qi's tears were like raindrops on a pear blossom, and she managed to cast all blame aside with just a few words. She'd even portrayed herself as a victim. That woeful and pitiful face not only made Song Zihang heartbroken, but even Mrs. Song had a change of heart when she heard her praising her son. Her heart softened and everybody was moved by her words. Judging by Shen Meng Qi's looks, she really couldn't have known about it, right? She was probably lied to by that scumbag Song. Shen Meng Qi's simply too innocent, scumbags cause tons of trouble. Yi Wanwan hid in the crowd and a smirk surfaced on her mouth. Even now, she's still trying in vain to get herself acquitted. I'm really looking forward to seeing Song Zihang's reaction when he finds out that he's been made a fool and was treated as a spare tire and a sucker this whole time. Yi Wanwan walked silently over to a secluded corner and made a call. Hello, Zheng Bin, I'm Meng Qi's friend. She's in some trouble right now and is being bullied by Song Zihang, you should come over quick. We're at the school hall, yes. It's really urgent and you're the only one who can help Meng Qi out of this. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.